Not everyone is abiding by state and local stay-at-home orders. Fox 5's legal analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now to explain all of this. Wendy, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay, a lot of people, the main question is, what can I do, what can't I do, and what are they going to do about it if I don't? So in Pennsylvania recently, a woman was stopped. She was fined for admittedly being out to take a drive. So is going out to take a drive a crime?
It depends on where you live, but it's a great question because you're right. Law enforcement in many states, they're at the end of their rope. They have requested, they have reasoned, they have attempted to rationalize, and now they are fining repeat offenders. Now, just to let our viewers know, the fines that many states are handing out are not simply because it's something they want to just use their own discretion to enforce. They're usually in cases where somebody's been warned once, been warned twice, been warned 3 times, and is just exhibiting defiance of stay-at-home orders or of local laws. Those are the kinds of people that are getting fined. But I have to tell you, the collective wisdom nationwide right about now, remember the old Nike slogan, if you're told to stay home, just do it. It is much easier to just abide by these restrictions that are in place for our own benefit, because neighborhood watch is in effect. Many of the violations going on across the nation are not law enforcement catching people outside their homes. They're neighbors reporting their concerns, maybe knowing somebody tested positive in a household, and here everybody's out and about anyway. Those are the kind of violations we're seeing more of.
It seems to me like the laws are changing. Some people say to criminalize, as you mentioned, because if you're doing it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then and they keep catching you. But in terms of defining what essential travel is, what an essential trip is, that leaves it open to interpretation, and it's very subjective, is it not?
That is the problem, Raul, is what is an essential business? Now, if any of us have had to drive to work recently, you notice there are cars everywhere. People are going places, and you can't stop everybody and ask them where they're going, or how do you know what's an essential business?
Right.
Some guidelines are given every day on the different state websites. Normally, they talk about grocery stores. They talk about government offices. They talk about hospital visits, dental visits, the kinds of things that are necessary to maintain your health. But where does it end? And if you notice driving down the street, there are plenty of businesses open that are questionable whether or not they would qualify as essential. The advice many legal experts are given is don't be the test case. Because remember, it is stay in or pay up. Fines are being enforced nationwide for people that are going places that are not deemed essential. And the reason that some of these fines are being challenged, great, when courts open, they can do that. But for now, stay at home means not only protecting yourself, but your family and your community.
So what are people doing exactly that's getting the attention of law enforcement? Is it just that they're going out for a drive? Is it just that they're going out for, you can still walk around your neighborhood, right? Because there's a lot of people, I've been doing that every day, and now all of a sudden, wait, am I allowed to do that?
Don't make any more admissions, Raul. Go back to your law school days.
I don't know.
But remember, that's a really good question, is if you are allowed to walk around in your neighborhood, why aren't you allowed to drive around in your neighborhood,
right,
even if you're not going anywhere? Aren't you safe in your car? Do you need to wear a mask in your car? These are unanswered questions. And some states, they are being asked and unanswered more often than others because some states don't even have these kinds of restrictions. So, for example, in Pennsylvania, this woman was fined for going for a drive. Would she be fined if she went for a walk? Would it matter whether or not she wore a mask? This is why people are encouraged to look at their own state websites and their local regulations to be able to get answers to these questions. One thing we still have is the internet, and it is a wealth of information, and knowledge is power when you're wondering, what are you allowed to do in the city in which you live?
And remember, you got to go to the right websites to get the right information because knowledge is power.
Amen to that. Source credibility is what I call that.
Accurate knowledge is power. So legally, taking a look at this from a legal standpoint, is this a trend that's going to continue as we head into the next couple of weeks, couple of months, where we're, quite frankly, we're kind of making this up as we go? A lot of government officials are admitting, look, none of us have been here before. So what's the trend in your eyes?
The trend is towards more definite restrictions, but also towards more options, let's say, more communication options. You heard that we're doing court remotely in a lot of places in the country. But in terms of defining those restrictions, making it up as they go along, they probably wouldn't phrase it that way, but that is in essence what they're trying to do. They're trying to be more creative in trying to figure out how can we get resources to people that need them, but also how can we be more firm and definite as to give people guidance as to what they can and can't do. I mean, due process requires notice. So in order to make sure citizens know where they are and aren't allowed to go, what they are and aren't allowed to do, we need to spell those out for our citizens. And I love what you mentioned, Raul, about source credibility. You need to figure out where to go for accurate knowledge. So you need to go to your state government websites. You can't just see something on Facebook or Twitter and say, well, that seems to be what will probably come to a jurisdiction near me. No. What is already in effect where you live?
Correct.
Now, people shouldn't be driving between jurisdictions because we're not supposed to be traveling. But if you need to do that to care for a loved one or for your job or for whatever takes you out on the road, yes, you do need to make sure that you're getting accurate information that applies to you wherever you are.
Great advice. If I get one more family member sending me a Facebook story about what this and that can't do and this is what's going to happen, bless their hearts.
That's right. Don't believe it.
Wendy Patrick.
Good advice, Raul.
Yes, thank you as always. Appreciate the time.